Hello, my name is Judy West and I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Easter's coming, so I've decided to paint a number of pots, big terracotta pots. Now, what would you do with them? Well, first of all, you could just decorate the house and put these with plants in them around the place just for Easter. Or what I did last year is I put a number of different ones across as centerpieces across the table and filled them with Easter eggs because I had the family coming over and there's a lot of us, and so that was just the extra treat in the middle of the table. So it's up to you, but I'm going to show you how to paint this one today. So we've got some foliage around the bottom all the way, and then we've got the eggs here, and I'll show you how to do that first. So this is where we're starting today. I might put a something either side just to stop it from rolling. And I have a brand new pot there, fresh from the nursery. Peel the sticker off and away we go. Now, if you're in Australia, you can get these from Bunnings for about, I don't know, $1.20, $1.40. They're not very dear. That's their standard size 17 centimetre pot. And so it's quite big. You can get different sizes. That's the cheapest one. And it's a good size for plants. So I buy a number of those and just keep them handy. But when you've got a big family, good size for Easter eggs as well. Now to begin this, I need to draw in the 3 eggs that I want, and I'm going to make sure, see that indent on there? I want that directly at the back. So this is the front. Just put a mark up there so I know the front of my pot, and now I'm just going to draw an egg here. I'll just make it a bit pointier at the top and a bit rounder at the bottom, and then I might put another one out to this side. You can make them any size you want and any shape you want, but this just gives me, no, don't like that in the position, easy to rub off. I've just got a rag there, I can rub it off, and I want it coming around sort of about there. And there's my egg there. Now what I'm going to do is paint those eggs in first, and then I'm going to colour the grass. And I think I want this one up a bit straighter, not going at that angle. So I'll have this one going more straight up and down. There we are, that gives me a better look to my egg. All pointy there. There we are. A lot of this will disappear when you paint it. Okay, so there's my beginning. Not hard to do. If you can't do this, trace an egg shape on a piece of paper, put the paper down and draw around the outside. Now if you notice with these eggs, they're not all exactly one colour. I've got a little bit of shading on them as well, just to make them look a bit more interesting. So if I start with the darker colour and then add white to whatever colour I'm going to put on these eggs. So the paint I'm using is Jo Sonja, and I've got I buy the paint in large 250ml. So I either buy it in backgrounds or artist acrylics, depending on which of those I can get the colour I want in. Either way, they work very well for me. I have got a container of water, see that there? And I've got an assortment of different size paint brushes so that I can change according to the size of the shape or the type of the stroke I want to do. Whatever fits the space really is what you need, and what you prefer painting with. Oh, and I've got silicone mats down, and the silicone mats protect my surface. So I'm going to put another one down here, and that's the one I'm going to put my paint on. So I might move this one a little bit further over so that you can see the paint. And I'm going to start with this really pretty, what's it called? Transparent magenta. And I might have to add a little bit of white to it to make it solid colour if it's a bit on the transparent side. But I also want to add white to it to get the pink that I want this egg to be. So it's quite a quick thing to do this. Actually, I might use this. It's a nice little brush. Now I'm going to start by just doing the outline all the way around the outside. This gives me a nice border to stay within when I'm colouring in the egg. To get that lighter look, all I do is add white to whichever colour I've decided to make the egg, and the more white I add, the lighter it gets, so I can gradually go from dark to medium to light in the middle of the egg. And then I just blend the colours together with a brush that's either a dry brush with no paint in it, or that I've wiped the paint out of, so that I can just get those wet colours to blend softly together, so that you don't get that sharp line all the way around the outside, but a soft transition instead. And there's going to be a pattern over the top, so this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. The rag I use is just an old face washer, and and they last for ages and ages, and you can wash them. So, you know, once my face washers start to get a bit old and scrappy, or I want to change them for a different colour or something, these are my painting rags. I'm not buying anything for it, I'm just using what I've got in the house. Recycling. Don't want all of them looking exactly the same. You want light and dark on all of them, but you don't want them all looking exactly the same. And you just work it until you're happy with the mix. I'm just brushing over it until I'm happy with what I've got. Okay, so that's what we've got so far, and I'm going to have to hit that with the hairdryer now and just get it dry so I can do the next bit. Now it doesn't take much to dry it. The hairdryer dries it really, really quickly, because a lot of this paint soaks into the surface too. So the surface becomes dry very quickly. Now this one, I've actually used cream as the decoration on the top of all those so that it blends the egg together. And I'm just looking at what I've got there that's like a cream. I've got more, what's this one called? That one. Oh, Island Sand. Now the next thing I've got is this liner brush First of all, I'm going to show you that I've made spots in different ways. So I've used a very fine, and then a medium, and then quite a thick dotting tool, so that gives you different sizes in your spots. For instance, that size, that size, that, these two are so closely it's hard to tell which is which, and those. So they're some of my dotting tools. Then I have these ones, would have a flat end, and I have lots of different sizes, but these are the only two sizes I used on the eggs. But if you haven't got that, there's no reason why you couldn't use the end of a paintbrush. I've got one here that's lost its end, and so you could use that bit and that bit. Or use larger paintbrushes or smaller ones to alter the size of your dots. There's no reason why you couldn't just do that and make whatever size spot you wanted according to the size of your paintbrush. So that's how you make your dots. Now the next thing I did was I did lines on the eggs too, and the first thing I did on the eggs were the lines. I didn't do the dots first. So I might do a wavy line, maybe parallel or a certain distance apart, and I might have to come back and just go over them to just get them even length and even color all the way through. You could do straight lines. You could do crisscross lines. I didn't do that on them, but then I had some where I had a straight line or a wiggly line, one or the other, and then I had lines coming off it like that. I had one where I had two wiggly lines going in different directions, like that, and I had lines going in between like this. And then I went and put some spots up the middle of some of those. There's zigzag lines. You can do things horizontally, vertically. That can be wavy or straight, diagonally, left or right. So you just keep doing combinations, and then I've put spots like in between or either side of those lines. There's one here I did, this little one. I'll bring it round and show you. See that one there? I'll just stand up to make sure you can see it. See that one there? Where I just did curves in all directions. I did it, I think, with this, but the more you dot, the smaller the dot gets. See that? And then the next one I might have come in this direction and gone that way, and then this one I might have come here and gone that way, and then that one I might have come around here and gone that way, and just kept doing that all over the egg in different directions. Okay, so but you could have done that where you started here and came down in straight lines also, which would make an interesting pattern. These could have had dots in the middle. Once you start, there's no telling where you can end up with the number of different egg patterns you could have on the side of your egg. Wipe your paint on, having them laying down, not up at an angle. And then if you rotate them, if you've got excess paint on, you can get it off. Now I stuck to one colour. I stuck to cream on everything. I limited my palette because I was going to have so much like green and flowers and coloured eggs. I just stuck to one colour on the egg, and I did like a creamy, it's called Island Sand, and it's a Jo Sonja background colour. But I could have done white, I could have done black, I could have done more than one colour, on different colour on each egg, completely up to you how you do it. But you don't want something too busy. You need some consistency. The consistency here will be the color of the decoration on the eggs, the shape of the eggs, and the consistency in the shapes of the flowers and the shapes of the grass when I do it. But I just wanted to show you how many different ways you can do spots and lines to get different patterns on your eggs. And I don't work it out what it's going to look like beforehand. I actually went and put all the lines on all the eggs first, and then I came back and did all the spots. And the quickest way to paint the eggs was to put all the different colors out and then just paint, like, first of all, draw all the eggs on the pots. If you're doing multiple pots, this is. Then color all the eggs on all the pots. And if you've got all the paint out, you can just go from one color to the other, and it's quite quick and easy. And now I'll just put all this away that's still wet. Anything that's dry gets destroyed. And then I came back with just the cream, and I did a variety of lines and spots to get my patterns on my eggs. So now, once that's dry and this is cleaned up, I'll do the grass. I'm now going to show you how to paint the grass, and I've chosen 3 colors. I've chosen a dark green, a light green. So this one, and you don't have to use this one, just use a dark and a light green that go together. But these are both Jo Sonja background colors, and this one is forest green and this one is shamrock. Now, on this old pot, I actually used like a lemony yellow, but I haven't got any at the moment, so I'm going to use yellow orange, and add white to it to get this lighter yellow, because I don't want to use the cream, and because there's already cream in the pot, in the decoration on the eggs. So they're the 3 colors I'm going to use. And as you notice, the grass is a little bit longer around the eggs, and just different heights around the rest of the pot. And then I'll add the flowers afterwards with my dotting tools. But the grass goes next. So I'll just do that on one pot, and then I'll and show you how it's done. So you need to make sure the pot's dry. And what we're going to do is go around the outside of the pot all the way around with one color first. So we'll start with the dark green because it should be towards the back. And I'm going to use this thin liner brush to do my lines. I don't pre-draw anything. I find, for me, if I want to get a point on my grass, I actually turn my pot upside down and I go from the bottom up. And so I'm starting thick, and then I'm lifting my brush as I get towards the end, and I do short ones and I do tall ones, and I do them in different directions all the way around. And if I'm not happy with what I've done, if I don't think I've got enough towards the end, I can always come back and add more. And you know, don't make it consistently the same height. Have some little short and long and all sorts of things happening all the way around the pot. Now, to do this quickly, if you were doing multiple pots, you would just do all the dark green on all the pots first, and then you might come back and do all the mid green, and then you might come back and do all the yellow. Okay, so I've gone around with the dark green, and I'm now going to do the mid green for you. I'm not going to do all the pots at once and bore you silly. And look, I'm not even going to bother washing that brush. I'm just going to start dipping it into the mid green. And we're going to get grass in between different heights. Now I think the grass on that is a lot straighter than I did on this one. I'm doing more curvy. That's your choice. And that could be the difference between the pots you do too, is some could be curvy grass, some could be straight, some could be longer than others. Now once you've got around and you've done that much, I would then have a look at whether I'm happy with the quantity of grass I've got before I go adding the yellow one, because I might want it thicker along the ground there. There's a lot of gaps in between there, so what I might do is come back with some of this dark colour, just add a few more here. With the dark, and then even with the light or the mid, I'll do that too before I go to the yellow, because the yellow is the highlight one and you won't put as much of that on as you will these. But I virtually want that whole bottom edge covered in paint. So and by doing this a second time, you're actually putting some of the dark grass over the top of the light grass to get some interest there too. Some gap, it's a bit gappy here. Okay, now I'm going to come back with this green again, this mid green, and just add a bit more of that in the gaps too. I specifically want the eggs to look as though they're sitting on the ground, so I need below the eggs to be definitely no terracotta, or as little terracotta as possible showing through. Some gaps there. Okay, now that I've got that where I'm happy with it, I will now get the yellow out. Actually, I'll turn it up the right way and show you and me what it looks like so far. So that looks pretty nice already. I think I might need to bring the grass up higher here and a little bit here. So let's just do that first. I just want the bottom of that egg hidden. There we are. We can't see the bottom of the egg as easily now. So I want that hidden so it looks like it's actually sitting on the ground. It's not sitting mid-air. So we really can't have any terracotta lines under the egg. And I'll just get a bit more of that green in some of the places where there's too much dark. Okay, there we are. That's better as far as I'm concerned. They're now looking like they're sitting on the ground in the grass and not up in the air. Now we'll do the yellow, and I just might add a little bit of oh, it's a bit much. Now I'm going to add that this island sand with it to lighten it rather than white. Of course, I don't want it too lemony. I want it a bit yellow. So I'm going to put a lot of those two together so it's quite a lemony colour. See that? It's not cream, but it's certainly not that rich gold. And now I can add those, just a few. I wouldn't have as many highlights as I'll have everything else. So it just highlights it, but it's not too yellow. It's more green than anything else. Okay, now we have our yellow in. That was pretty quick. Didn't put in near as much yellow as I have the green. Now what you will notice is that I've got some flowers. I'm just going to put the flowers in and space them the way I want them spaced. So I'm going to put the yellow centers in, and then I'll put the petals around the outside, and I'm going to dot this with maybe this. Let's see. Yep, that's about the right size. So I'm using this same yellow as I've got here, and I'm just gonna, and if there's a long stem, I might even just add it to that stem. So basically, so far, I haven't needed to add a stem because I've managed to find stems, and I'm not picking all the same colour stems. Some are on yellow, some are on the dark green. They're different heights. And there. So there's our spots. Now what we'll do is we'll add white as the flowers. and they're going to be the same size spots as the centres. So and you just put them around, spacing them relatively evenly around the outside. Now the other thing is, you mightn't do all the same flower on each of the pots. So I'm showing you how to do this flower at the moment, but when I come to another pot I might show you a different flower. And there it is. Now I'll show you the pot. Little daisies on the rims of my pot, just one every now and then, just to make it a bit more interesting. So that one blew away. This other pot, I've decided to use that instead of that to get some inconsistent looking petals rather than all exactly the same size. So I'm going to dot more than once, get some inconsistent sizes in the petals just to make it look a bit more interesting. I can come back over them if I don't think they're big enough, and I don't have to push all the way down with the dotting tool. I can not go down as far, so that all the flowers aren't exactly the same. And then you just decide what you prefer. Everybody's different with their tastes, and every flower's different. So you don't have to have them all exactly the same. This is quite a quick pot to paint. Doing this video I've completed 5 of them, and even with all the stopping and starting, I only started a couple of hours ago. So it's a pretty quick job really. If I wasn't stopping and starting for filming, I would get this done quite quickly. There we are. So they're inconsistent. Now here's a close-up of all 5 pots, and you can see all the different patterns and the way they look on the back. Each pot is a little bit different, but basically the same. If you want to learn more pot painting techniques, check out the video on the left. But if you want to see my latest video uploaded to YouTube, check out the video on the right.